Trey Henderickson situation just got absolutely bonkers because he went on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. And I don't think a lot of people are reading what he said correctly or understanding what he said correctly. So the whole situation right now is he gave the Bengals an ultimatum. Pay me or trade me. And I don't think that's exactly what he meant by his statement. Maybe I'm being bullish about this, right? Because I do love Trey, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But here's what he had to say. If it's something we can agree on in terms, that would be great. Ideally, my wife and I would love to stay in Cincinnati. If it's something that helps the Bengals win a Super Bowl, if they get picks or anything like that, I want to help win a Super Bowl for Cincinnati, whether I'm there or not. If you trading me gets you a ring, I'm all for it. Pay me or trade me. Wait, and then they're saying that he's given them the pay me or trade me ultimatum. I don't see it like that. What I see when I see this sentence is actually him saying, listen, I understand I'm 31 years old. If you can't pay me, right, because in theory you have to pay T. Higgins and pay Jamar Chase and pay, BJ Hill, and you have to spend that money toward the future of this team to get this team a ring, then yeah, okay, you can let me go. And because at the end of the day, he realizes he's not the future. He's 31 years old. He realizes there's going to be more years with Jamar Chase on this team than there will be with Trey Henderickson. And, as he said, if you have to trade me, get draft picks, and those draft picks are going to be better for the future of this franchise and fix this franchise, then trade me. Because if it's better for the team in the long run, I don't want to be the piece that holds the team back. If you have to trade me and you get 2 first-round picks, we wouldn't, but let's say we did. And those 2 first-round picks for the next 10 years end up becoming dominant Bengals, then it's more or less like how I look at it is he's more of, hey, this is a team thing. And I'm more about, I just want this team to win. If I have to leave, if I have to go somewhere else, if I have to, get traded and leave, as long as this team is successful, I will do whatever I need to do in order to get that situation figured out. That's how I look at it, okay? So, I do believe he wants to stay here. I do believe he wants to get a contract done. I do believe he wants to be a Bengal for life. But, again, how Trey has always been about the situation, he loves Cincinnati, and he wants us to be successful. So, that's kind of how I look at it. I don't look at it as an ultimatum. I look at it as I want to do whatever it takes to help this team win. If that means I'm on the field, but I'm using up some of that salary cap, and, you don't get to keep somebody else, but in the end it works out, awesome. But also, if it isn't going to work out, and I'm going to use up too much salary cap and too much money, at the same time, maybe it's just not smart. Maybe it's just not worth it to keep me. And again, I want to preface by saying I want Trey no matter what. I think you can always find receivers in the draft. You can always draft receivers and develop receivers. It's not easy to draft/sign a premier pass rusher like Trey Henderickson. So I want Trey. I've said this many times. I love T. Higgins. Trey Henderickson over T. Higgins. I love T, but you can find a pretty good wide receiver that you can develop with Joe Burrow rather than finding a premier pass rusher. Trey is number 1 over everything. But again, like I said, it does come down to getting this situation figured out. So I think overall wise, people just want an ultimatum. They just want that kind of headline of, oh, he's telling the Bengals here. I don't think he's doing that. I think he's trying to say, hey, listen, I care about this team. I care about this city. My goal when I sign this contract is to help this team win a Super Bowl. If that happens to be without me, it happens to be without me. Because, again, I just don't see a situation where, I mean, obviously, Trey, let's say we did trade him, right? We traded him away. Realistically speaking, he's 30, turned 30 in December. He'll be 31 next year. Or it's at the end of this year, he'll be 31. What are we looking at? Probably at least one first. I say one first round pick, maybe a second, and a fifth or something. Which, could that, really help us out for the future? Absolutely. Right? Could that really change this team around? Absolutely. You hit on any of those picks and you're talking about a completely different story. But again, it's the idea of trading a star player for picks. It's not easy to do, right? I've seen some people in my comic section say, well, what about trading Trey Henderickson for Myles Garrett? Could that work? That is a possibility. That is a possibility, absolutely. Now, very similar ages. Obviously, one has 2-year contract left, one has 1 now. You're still going to have to pay Myles Garrett, And who do I want more? Trey Henderickson 100%. But if the situation can be given that you trade and get Myles Garrett, but then you get more back for Trey, the only way that works for us is if we get more back in return for Trey Henderickson. That's the only way that works. Because if not, Trey's going to eat us alive. But at least if we get, for example, we trade Trey. Well, you're not trading Trey straight up for Myles Garrett. Trey is worth more. So I'd say you trade Trey Henderickson, maybe a third. No, sorry. You get Myles Garrett and a third and a sixth back for Trey Henderickson. That's the only way I could see it happening. Because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it overall wise. You're going to have to deal with him going at your quarterback every single game for the next couple years, if not. And again, listen, at the end of the day, this situation has been looming over our heads for a while now. And I do want to get Trey under contract and back with our team. Because, again, we don't have anybody else on defense. We really don't. It's Trey or nothing. You know how they say nerf or nothing? It's Trey or nothing. So let's just get him under contract. Based on what I understand, and again, I might be completely incorrect, it doesn't sound like he wants the bank. It really doesn't. I know some people think he's going to want the bank, and maybe he does. But based on what I've seen and what I hear, it doesn't sound like he wants the bank. What it sounds like is he just wants to get paid correct amounts, but he wants job security. His biggest thing has always been job security. He wants the multi-year contract. He wants to know if he signs a contract, he'll be under contract for the next 4 or 5 seasons. And with that being said, he won't have to hit free agency at age 32, 33, 34. He won't hit free agency again until 36. And that's a huge W when you get older as a pass rusher. You want the ability to know that you're going to be under contract for a period of time. And you know that you don't have to worry about being cut or released or losing your job because you're under contract. That's how I look at these situations. I know, again, everyone looks at them differently, but it's kind of just, hey, I want to make sure I'm under contract. I want to make sure I don't have to hit free agency and deal with that. It also lets you be able to talk about your retirement plans, right? I mean, him and his wife, he could say, okay, well, if I'm on the contract with Cincy for the next 5 years, that means when I hit 36, I'm retired. Okay? You start putting money away. You start putting money in different areas, right? Because you're like, I got 5 years left. You start you start talking to your about your beach house or your dream home, right? You start talking about those plans because you're like, hey, 5 years, this is what we're going to build. If not, what, maybe in 2 years you're now in free agency, you don't know what you're going to do. What if you sign with a team that wants you for 4 years, right? So there are situations where you guys start looking at this as real life too. I know this is a business, this football is a business, but this is real life. So people got to start looking about their futures and their families and stuff like that. So tell me down below your thoughts, opinions. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.